the number one source of people buying homes today is still real estate agents.
Hey guys, great show today with Geoff Zimfer from the Mortgage Marketing Institute. He's a national coach and sales trainer, and he's going to talk a lot about the 5 Mile Famous, which I personally love because that was, I think, the key to my success as an originator. I didn't veer off track. I had all my business within arm's length of where I stood all the time. I think it's really important because from what Geoff's saying, if you can become famous within 5 miles, like everybody knows who you are and what you do for a living, you're going to succeed. Now, obviously, you got to be good at your job, your trade, right? But you got to be great at marketing. If somebody doesn't know what you do for a living, you're never going to succeed. So let's listen to what Geoff has to say, and let's see if it can help your business. Okay, we are here, and I finally got Geoff on the show. I hate saying it, but the dude is a professional podcaster, and he is my competition. But I love nothing more than having other guys that have successful podcasts on my show because I can learn a ton from you. So Geoff, welcome. Thank you. And let's get going.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dino. Thanks for inviting me. I want to have a really great conversation that serves your audience.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's start with who you are personally and then professionally. And then from there, I just want to take you back to kind of like day one and walk through your journey back to today again.
Yeah. So, great question. So bottom line is I was an originator for over 10 years and, it's a industry that I love. I started in 2003 in your backyard, Mission Viejo, Orange County, cut my teeth there. As you know, it's a very competitive market for originations, a lot of loan officers, a lot of realtors, a lot of competition. And I would say if there's one immediate point to make for the listening audience is just like virtually any market is you have to stand out with a unique competitive advantage. Why should I choose you? Whether you're a consumer or whether you're a realtor referral, whatever it is, why should I choose you amongst all the other choices I have in my backyard? And so that's what I focused on a lot was how would I become the preeminent choice, particularly for realtors, being as a main source of my business. How would I show up, rise above the noise and build a brand right before brand was a thing, I guess, build a brand and a platform that would attract agents to want to choose me instead of the 10 other LOs that were chasing them down.
Yeah. And I'm going to dive really deep into that because I want that to kind of be the main focus here. At the end of the day, my goal is basically whoever is listening, I want them to have a little bit motivation, but I want them to have a lot of tactics, right? Something they can just take right out and start using immediately. And I know that's what you do. Mm-hmm. So I want to go there. But before we do, just tell us a little bit about your podcast, a little bit about your platform and who you are as a person. And then let's just jump right in.
Yeah. So the podcast, interesting timing. This is my 10th year doing the podcast, which is crazy to say out loud. I'm going to hit 400 episodes in, I don't know, the next 2 or 3 episodes. So it's been a labor of love, a passion project for many, many years. And similar to you, I just wanted to show up and help originators navigate how to succeed as an originator, right? So one of the ways you do that is you interview other people. I've probably interviewed 200 of America's top producing loan officers and learned a thing or two along the way because there's success leaves clues, right? There's a pattern. So I'm passionate about helping people understand, unlock the combination to quote unquote success. And the reality is what I've discovered in all these conversations is I don't know that there's some secrets per se, but there are some systems and habits and mindsets that people possess that help them succeed. And I hopefully have brought a lot of that to the conversation for people who listen to my podcast. So that's the business side of things. On the personal side of things, I don't know. What do you want to know about me, man? I like long walks on the beach and pina coladas or
Do you do yoga too?
I do goat yoga. I do hot goat yoga at the same time. Yeah.
All right.
I'm into fitness, sports, you know what I mean? Working out for sure, trying to stay healthy. I mean, I hit 60 last year. So, the whole goal is health span and lifespan for me. So I have a passion project there. Got 2 boys in their 20s, going to graduate college this year, which will be good to get them off the payroll. Hope they're not listening, but I really want to get them off the payroll.
They probably don't listen to you, bro.
No, they don't. No, the other one's still sleeping right now. It's 1:30 in the afternoon and he's still sleeping. Anyway.
It's funny because whenever I talk about my wife or kids or whatever, it's like I know it's no big deal because they just don't listen. They're not
Yeah.
going to listen to my show
No, I mean, yeah,
anyway.
they'd be bored.
So let's um let's go into first. You were originating, right? Like
Mhm.
it starts there, and I think that's what led you to where you're at right now. As an originator, what was your success level? Where did you come in when it comes to that?
Uh, I came in ignorance on fire. So what I did when I first started out was I did what a lot of people do, which is I cloned what I saw other people doing. And I thought the way to succeed, let's just take the segment of realtors, right? Because in 2003, social media wasn't yet a thing or anything like that. And realtors, what I love is like realtors are still a core part of business and a business model. And we can talk about that. But so I did what everybody else did, right? I cold called, I door knocked, I went to open houses, broker previews, like, I did it all, man, right? And so it was hustle, ignorance on fire, and the good news is those things work. They actually still work, but what I've learned is not everything works equally well for everybody everywhere, and so I think you got to really get clear on what works for you, who you are, your style in your local market. Like door knocking doesn't work in Manhattan, for a loan officer, meaning going out there. And I'm sure it doesn't work for a realtor either, but you know what I mean? Yes, extrapolate success, the clues and, the habits and actions and all that kind of stuff to apply to your business, but you got to make it your own and do what you're going to do. So I thankfully after,
It's
yeah,
it's funny. I'm going to jump in real quick.
dude.
I when I started in Newport Beach,
Yeah,
and talk about swimming with the sharks, right? But I thought to myself, well, why not just go for the gold? I mean, let's get the
yeah,
higher dollar amounts and let's make it happen. It was more competitive, right?
yes,
And it was way more cutthroat.
yes.
But you jump in, and if you got a little pressure on your back, you
Mhm.
kind of have no other choice other than to succeed. At least that's my DNA. I'm
Yeah,
not going to fall when I got the pressure on my back. Now, with that said, what did I do? I did a lot of what you just said, right? I went to open houses, I went to broker previews. I even door knocked a little bit. I did a little cold calling, went to a lot of industry events,
yeah.
and you mentioned something earlier where you said there wasn't really any self branding back then when it wasn't a
Mhm.
thing,
Mhm.
but it was different. It
Mhm.
wasn't self branding because there's no social media, but it was self branding by going out there. Nobody cared who I was repping. They were doing business with Dino, and
Mhm.
that's all that mattered. So it was still self branding,
Right.
just different than what it
Yeah.
is today, right? And today it's a much bigger thing that we need to get into. But here's what I learned out of all that. People would ask me, "Well, how did you get so successful? What was it?" And I'm like, honestly, man, I don't know. I did all the hard things. Some of them yielded me some business, and some of them didn't. But I still feel that it was somehow God's way of saying, you know, good job. You did it. Now I'm going to reward you. It doesn't always matter. Like I didn't do well by going to open houses, probably
Mhm.
because I didn't enjoy it,
Mhm.
but I still did it. And I think it sharpened me. And I think
Yeah.
there's something to be said about all of those little things that you do that sharpen the axe. And then when you go in, you can cut that tree a heck of a lot faster. And that's what doing the hard things to me means, sharpening the axe.
You gotta get the reps in. If you're new, you know what I mean? You've got to do everything you can. You can't like just say, "Oh, I'm not going to do open houses." Well, you're new, man. Like you need to generate business. You need now business. So do you have to do it forever? No, but you better darn well try and pull that lever, right? And see. And to your point earlier, it's like, all right, let's be clear. Personal brand. Just the fact that you showed up repetitively and you showed up to the open house or the broker or whatever it was, you were branding yourself. You just
Yeah.
didn't put that brand online yet. It was face to face, in person branding. So that's very, very important to what is the reputation? I always say this is particularly with the referral partners is here's what I find most loan officers are missing is they need to become 5 mile famous. So if you're thinking about you want to go after, let's just say realtors or whoever it is, it could even be CPAs, but in your sphere, your 5 mile radius, your 10, how many, I don't know if you remember that movie, I Love You Man with Paul Rudd. and Jason, what's his name? Jason Segel, I think so. You ever see that movie where they're big Rush fans and all that? So Paul Rudd plays a realtor in LA, and he's dying out. He's not successful. He's failing. And Jason, what's his face? Segel comes along and goes, then doesn't tell him, but he takes out all these billboards in LA, right, and puts Paul Rudd's image on there and all these funny scenes in the thong, the banana hammock, the cowboy with the guns, the secret agent, and all of a sudden Paul Rudd becomes 5 Mile famous, and his phone rings off the hook. And that, if you're listening right now as a loan officer, I would ask you if an agent drove by, if there's a billboard in town and your face was put up on that billboard and every agent in town drove by that billboard every single day, how many agents would recognize your face? And if you want more agent referrals, right, the first game you need to play is you need to run for mayor and you need to become well-known, 5 Mile famous, known for something we'll talk about, but that's the first game to play. I think right there is your awareness.
Yeah. So that is, in fact, we're probably going to call the show 5 Mile famous. I love that line. I love it. And I'll say, with me personally, just my own personal business, right? And I'm not producing much anymore, but let's talk about out of state. Every loan officer now, all I do is try and recruit and grow the brand. I'm trying to grow Ethos Lending. Yeah. And everybody I talk to, well, how many states are you approved in? How many this? What? And I can't help it, man. Every single time I'm like, well, how many loans did you do in Alabama? How many loans did you do? And it's like, well, none, or one, or two.
Right.
I'm like, let me just show you a way to be, I didn't use these words, but I'm going to start using it, 5 Mile famous.
Yeah.
You have more money where you stand at all times if you just become famous in that 5 miles. I mean, it's insane. When I look at my last year of like real production, did 156 million. And when I look it up, 90% of it was all done in Orange County and mostly in South Orange County, probably about a 20-mile radius.
Yep.
That's all you need. I mean, you can do that much volume. That's all you need.
Particularly in Orange County, right? So here's an exercise somebody can do. If you want to check your backyard, get with your title rep if you don't have access, or MMI, Redder, whatever it is, but pull the number of purchase closings that happened in your county last month. Okay. And take a look at how many of those are and how many of those did you not get?
Yeah.
So I know I used to do that in Orange County, and I would see 1,200 transactions or whatever, right? In Orange County. And I'm like, shit, I'm getting 5, right? Back in the day, in the early days. And I'm like, man, can I get 10 or 20? Yeah, I think out of 1,200, I could get 10,
Yeah. But you're right? And you got to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, then there's no metrics.
Right.
So, okay. So let's go past it now. Because I want to get into a little bit more granular type stuff. You got out of the business, I'm assuming about 10 years ago, because you said you've been doing this for 10 years.
No, I was given an opportunity to pivot my role in the business. I became a sales trainer and coach for Movement Mortgage. And so I did that over there for 4.5, 5 years. And I think that's more aligned with kind of what I'm really about, kind of my DNA and how I love to serve and show, hence the podcast and other things, right? This is what I'm doing. Using my talents and skills and resources to help other people, go to that next level. So that's what I did. I just kind of changed what I was doing, didn't leave the industry per se, and just changed the role. And then that led to a few different other roles with different companies. And I started the podcast actually right about that, just before that same time, actually. Yeah.
And then what about Mortgage Marketing Institute? When did that start?
That started probably about 6 years ago in terms of a real focus, right? Put it this way, right? Let's go back to what I did to build my business with agents in particular. So I started leveraging a one-to-many approach because I realized cold call had its limits in terms of scale. I really recognized the fact that I needed to reach as many agents as I could in the shortest amount of time as possible. And so how would I do that? Because I had left a previous career. I actually, for a context story, you might find this interesting to talk about, but I left. So I before I went into the mortgage business, the short version of the story is I really cut my teeth in sales and training because I was a field sales representative for Tony Robbins. So back in the day, I was one of those people who would come into an office realtor, car dealer, MLM, you name. And I would come in there and I would do a 40-minute presentation and
Yeah.
close people on the spot to sign up for a Tony Robbins seminar. Right?
I did that for my company probably about 8 years ago.
For your own company.
Yeah.
Oh, you sent people. You mean you signed up and went?
No, no. So I had one of you guys
Oh,
called
okay. Yeah,
me
yeah. Yeah.
and I went, I said yes. And I had one of the trainers from Tony Robbins come out,
Really?
give us a 40, I
Yeah.
thought it was, about an hour
Yeah.
long speech
Right.
and
Right.
trying to get us to sign up. But
Wow.
still in that 1 hour, there's a lot of good content or
Yeah.
good advice that can come out of that. And my whole goal was just to motivate a few people. And then, yes, I
Well,
hoped that they
think
had
about
gone.
this. I did that 30 years ago.
Wow.
But I mean, Tony's obviously a huge household name today.
Yeah.
Um, Less so. There's some funny stories. Like we used to walk into meetings with those portable TVs
Yeah.
that we would plug in and play and put a DVD, or not even a DVD, a VHS of a 10-minute clip of Tony. Anyway, so funny that you did that as well. But you learn a lot of skills. What's the point? The point is, like, I learned the law, one to many, right? Just like with you, you brought somebody into your office, 10 people, whatever. We'd be in front of all these different groups, and so we would compress time, and we would get our goal right because we got in front of one to many instead of one to one. And so then when I eventually switched over to doing loans after cutting my teeth on all the other one-to-one activities, I was like, you know what? I have a baby at home. My wife is not working. I got a mortgage. I need to figure this thing out because I'm 6 months in and I really am not making any progress. And so that's when the kind of lights went on. It was just like I forgot who I was and the skill I had. And I'm like, because I was doing everything everybody else did, like we said before. And it works, but it wasn't at the speed or pace that I. So anyway, I started doing these events and classes, right? And I brought in guest speakers first, and tax strategist experts or real estate coaches, and I started getting in front of 10, 20, 30, 50 agents at a time. And all of a sudden, it's just like I don't need to chase agents. They're in a room, deliver value. I can add a close, quote unquote, at the end to have a conversation to follow up to implement this one idea or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, out of one event, I'm getting 6, 8, 10 conversations. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a better way to do business. Plus, talking about branding, talk about positioning, you're now attaching yourself to the value of what it is that you're bringing. You don't need to be a subject matter expert. You're the messenger of value. And so that's kind of how I've pivoted and started shifting my business. And then, it started to go well. And I didn't quite achieve your level, but for an individual producer back then, doing 120 loans a year, I was like, okay, cool. This is a better way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And were you focusing on your 5 miles back then?
Yeah, man. I just became so well known. Like Aliso Viejo, right? We used to go to the community center there, and I would fill that community center with 100 agents. Or the board of realtors over there, Ocar, right? Off of La Paz, right? We used to
Yeah.
go just fill that room all the time. And by the way, it's not about the size of the room per se. It's really just about getting in front of the right audience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, can you imagine back then if you had social media taking pictures of all that and then
Oh
posting
my
it
gosh.
everywhere? My gosh, it's so much easier now and
Yeah.
harder, but
Right.
so much easier.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. So, it all comes back to how well known are you? What are you known for?
Yeah. All right, so let's go. Let's teach people. You have you have the podcast.
Yeah.
It's teaching everybody for free, but
Uh-huh.
then kind of works as a funnel. You bring them into the Mortgage Marketing Institute. And what do you do there? What packages do you have? What do you teach people? Is
Well,
there
I think
multiple?
yeah, so here's the problem that most originators have, and let's just set aside that LOs like to throw realtors under the bus and make them the easy scapegoat, and everyone's looking for the easy button, right? Of like, oh, I want to go consumer direct, or like, oh, I want to go in Alabama, Alabama, whatever. It's just like, yeah, what have you done to actually optimize for your backyard, right? Because let's just face it, if there is 1,000 closings or 500 closings in your backyard, purchase closings, like I said, how many of those are you getting? What is still the number one source of people buying homes today is still real estate agents. I don't care. technology. That hasn't changed it. It's actually grown. More people are using realtors than they have in the past, believe it or not. That doesn't mean where they start. You know this very well, but they use a realtor to transact on that home for all the reasons we know. Now, if that is the number one source of business, I want to tap into that number one source. Are there some challenges to it? Sure. Any friggin' source of business, there's going to be challenges. But here's what I know. If I develop the relationship, the rapport, the trust, I have somebody out there advocating for me on my behalf to tee me up to have a shot at that buyer, right? Or multiple buyers. So that's one pillar. And the other issue is this, is that the reason why a lot of loan officers complain about realtors is because, well, put it this way. You're listening to this podcast right now. I usually ask a question. Do you need more realtors, better realtors, or both? And people usually say both. Okay, great. What is your approach? Like, how are you reaching out to realtors? Are you cold calling, right? Are you putting yourself in the frame of a vendor and a solicitor by your approach? Because if that's the case, you're going to be commoditized, and all of a sudden you're going to get the objections, the no, I'm not interested, the blowing off coffee, whatever it is. So first and foremost, it's your approach. We can talk more about that. But here's the reality that if I can remember it real quickly, there's 5 reasons why realtors don't send you more referrals. One of them is there's no trust established. Number 2 is like they don't even know you exist. Number 3 is they already use their existing lender and they're loyal, which is a good thing. Number 4 is your value proposition is weak. I close on time. Yay. Right. Number 5 is you're simply not talking to enough agents. That's it. That when I take polls on webinars and stuff, that usually comes back as one of the top reasons LOs admit that they're not getting enough realtor referrals is they're simply not talking to enough.
Yeah, they're not trying.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll add on that,
Mhm.
one of the first things I always say is I turn the question around and I ask them, what do you have to offer them?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about cash. Like, why would they choose you? If you don't even know the answer to that, then
Right.
how do you expect to get any other business?
Well, here's a way to kind of quantify that for yourself. If your value proposition or the why should I use you starts with products or service or price, you are already dead in the water.
Yeah. Yep.
Not a differentiator. Yeah. Why should I use you? Well, my answer to that is you need to figure out what are the problems that these realtors have and provide solutions to those problems. So if you picture a pyramid, right? On the bottom of that pyramid, I talked about earlier is solicitor and vendor. All right, so sorry, there's 2 levels. First one is solicitor. That's making cold calls, doing all the cold stuff. And we're putting ourselves in that perception of get versus give. Next level up is you're a vendor. Yeah, you're on the team. I'm sending you my deals, but I still see you as a vendor because everything's based on product and price, and you're only as good as your last deal. How many times have we heard that, Dino? Right?
Yeah.
We need to shift the relationship dynamics from vendor or solicitor to partner, peer, leader, right? Those types of things. The only way you do that is when you align and you come side by side with that realtor, not from the vendor standpoint, from really being part of their business and understand what are the problems that they're facing, and you become a conduit for solving those problems. Does that make sense?
It does. And while you're talking, I'm actually going to find a video on my phone. So this is at a seminar I was at.
Don't do it as a marketing tool. Do something for your community that will touch your community. That doesn't cost a lot of money, but people get that motherfucker really needs it. Everybody says I'll give you service. Everybody says I can help you. What the fuck have you done? All you've done is knock the doors and ask for shit. Stop being a fucking asker and be a giver.
Oh my God. That is classic Tony right there, going for it.
That's classic Tony. And the best part is he was talking to a realtor at the time.
Was he
And
really?
he's like, yeah, you're out knocking on doors, asking them for something, but what are
Right.
you giving them?
Right.
What are you giving them? And I remember I did this, I playing around with something, and this was after the seminar. And at the time here in Orange County, right, like there were a lot of condo complexes that were not FHA approved.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's silly. Like they just don't know how to do it or what to do. And I had found a company that could do it for pretty cheap, and I was willing to invest. So I went out, I created this whole marketing campaign around it. I picked a couple different realtors and I said, I'll even go door knock with you the first time. But after that, I will help you own this entire community. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to give you something that none of these other realtors are doing for them. They're all knocking on doors, asking them for business. You're going to knock on doors and you're going to tell them how you're going to increase the value of their home by 15%. And I came up with that number because I did the research, and condo complexes that were very comparable in the same city, literally less than a mile away, were going for 15% more just because they were FHA approved. And
Wow.
this is, back then. Now it's a little bit easier or a little bit different, but there were the entry point, right, for FHA was so much easier. So long story short, it was like, we can help you increase the value of your home by $10,000 to $15,000. And the value was about 600,000. So don't tell me that isn't something of value. So
Right. Yeah.
I had never door knocked that way before as a realtor.
Mhm.
And I was like, all right, I'm learning as I go. Right. And then a lot of people don't answer. A lot of people don't want to talk to you. But I finally kind of, you know, molded my pitch. And then finally one door opened after a few rejections, a few this, and he asked me, what do I want? And I said, well, I actually don't want anything. I go, we are real estate agents. And I point down, I go, see all these flyers that are polluting your front door entrance? I go, that's not us. I'm not leaving one here. I'm not gonna make your entryway dirty. And I'm not going to ask you for anything like they are. What I'm doing is saying, I am going to give you an extra $70 to $100,000 in net equity if you want me to help you.
Mhm.
And then they couldn't help but ask. And I said, all we have to do is get 15% of all of the homeowners in this complex to sign my petition. And if I can get 15%, then I'm going to spend my money and my knowledge to get your entire complex FHA approved. And by doing that, here are the statistics, right? Your neighbors down the way are selling for 15% more. Anyways, it was brilliant, man. So
Yeah.
they sign a paper, they give me their email address, their phone number, and now I have 15%, which I didn't quite get that many, but 10%, I would say, sign my petition. But these to me were the people that were thinking about selling,
Yeah. Right.
right?
You're
Because
finding the motivated. Yeah.
yeah, you're finding the motivators. So after that, it was easy enough. And then the damn agents, dude, like just mind-boggling to me that I hand them something like this on a silver platter and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with it. It's insane. And
Well,
that's why
yeah.
most people don't succeed. They don't have that fire to go attack and really make something of it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Reminds me of when I first started doing events and classes. One of my mentors was Walter Sanford. I don't know if you know that name.
No.
He was up in Long Beach, California. He at one time, according to Walter, it's pretty accurate though. His claim to fame was he was selling a house a day every day for 16 years. He had some incredibly aggressive marketing and all this fun stuff, but he came out of the Mike Ferry coaching program, became a coach for Mike Ferry, all this stuff. And I brought Walter in the early days to do the classes for me, right? So he would come in and he would teach the agents. He was the attraction in the early days. And he would edify me and he would tee me up to have meetings. But Walter, I remember one day he said to me, he goes, "Hey, Geoff, I want you to remember this. You're bringing them these ideas, you're bringing them these resources." He goes, "It doesn't matter if they never implement a single idea. All that matters is you're the person that brought them the idea." Never forgot that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. So at Mortgage Marketing Institute, is it mostly loan officers? Is it real estate agents as well? Who's your client?
Now, my client is mortgage originators who are tired of chasing agents and being treated like a vendor, and they want excuse me, flip the script and start attracting instead of chasing, right? By building that one-to-many platform, becoming 5 Mile famous.
And if you could pinpoint one or two of the most common uh, faults or things that they do that, I think are, let's say, keeping them from moving the needle but they think they're doing good. What would those one or two things be?
In regards to what I specifically do, or just more in general?
No, in general, because
Mhm.
if they're there trying to get better, they're probably doing okay, right? They're
Mhm.
probably not brand new,
Yeah.
uh, but they want to do better. And what are some things that they do that are faulty?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I like to start, I guess, with this, and I actually like to start with the timing that we're in the new year. I actually we just did in our private community. I just did kind of a coaching session on this, and I always like to say that whatever result that you get at the end of this year or quarterly, whenever it is that you check in, it's going to be the result of three things: your mindset, your skill set, and your actions. Those are the only three things you can control. Can't control the interest rates, what the hell Trump does, whatever, right? It's just like, number one, what's your mindset? Check that. Number two, what skills do you have, right? Well, we're talking about this right now. What skills? Skill is it's a competency. It's a value that you bring to the marketplace, whomever it is you're serving. So an example of a skill today would be, how good is your buyer intake process, right? When's the last time you actually audited that and checked that? You know what I mean? What's your leakage rate, like out of the pre-apps or conversations you have? What's your conversion, like all that fun stuff, right? And then it is like, all the things we've talked about, like all these things I want to do. I want to do like 17 different things at once. No, no. There's You've got to focus on, I believe, anyways, what is the highly leveraged activity that's going to use your words, move the needle the most? Because there's a lot of people major in minors, right? They do a lot of small things to very little effect versus doing a few big things to massive effect. And that's where you got to get clear on choosing what are your kind of 1 to 3 top leveraged multipliers that you're going to implement repetitively over time, not just once or once in a while when you feel like it, and building those systems and habits. I'm a big fan of James Clear, Atomic Habits, and structuring your day, your week, your month, etc., to kind of build those what we call repeatable day boxes. So you
Yeah.
have a day, you have a week. Well, what are those repeatable day boxes or daily actions that have the highest impact? And here's the key takeaway: life isn't perfect. Stuff's going to hit the fan. You're going to get thrown off, your game. So the real game to play is it's to not have any 0 days. Like one call is better than 0 calls, right?
Well,
If that's all you can get done. And it's about that consistency. You're making a vote every time you follow through on that consistency of taking that action, whether it's that 1 or the 10. It's a vote that reinforces your identity for yourself of that is who you are. So
yeah.
remember, whatever that habit is that you're repeating over and over again, that's reinforcing your identity.
Yeah. It's interesting. A couple things. I asked that question. I had never asked it before, but it got me thinking about the answer.
Mm,
I'm going to say the two things I did really, really, really well. I had a great initial consultation intake call. I really had mastered that one, and I loved my realtors. And I say that because I'm sure you've heard it all the time. I can't stand these guys. I don't like these realtors,
yeah.
right? They're so demanding, they're this, they're that. And my viewpoint on that is, well, that probably means you're not doing your job. If they're having to track you down to find out what's going on, that's a problem, right? If you're not closing on time, that's a problem. If you're not communicating with them, that's a problem. So if you have this viewpoint of them as a personality, uh, that's a problem because they're out there hunting every single day for your food. And if they're doing that, you should love them because they're paying all of your bills. I mean, come on, you gotta love those realtors, right? And you gotta treat them as such. So that was one thing I did really well, and then the consultation. And here's where I'm going to spin this now. You were talking about daily habits,
Yeah.
and granted, I had, I guess, graduated. So there was certain things I didn't have to do anymore because I just had enough volume coming in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say one of the things that I mastered that I highly suggest to everybody is you build in a system with every single thing that you do. The initial consultation isn't just an initial consultation. It's a way to get referrals, right? It's a way to build in future business down the road. It's a way to get a refinance when the rates drop. There's so many things that you can get out of each and every system. So, yes, make your calls, yes, do the open house, whatever it is you got to do, especially in the beginning. That's all you should be focusing on. But after that, if you can build in your systems, the referrals come not just by doing a great job, but they come by the strategy you implemented at that very first conversation, and then all the things in between. The system has to work, and the referrals, I believe, will come.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, systems are everything. Most originators, I was guilty of this as well. Early on, was just um, scattered and no organization, and that's why you're frustrated. And you go up and down the income roller coaster. And back to your real quick point you said about these LOs complaining about realtors. That's a mindset issue, and that's like you have the wrong realtors as well. So fix that.
So as a coach, would you say you spend more time on mindset or systems, techniques, combination?
I would say it's a combination for sure. I would say when people come to me, by the time they come to me, they already recognize where they're at. Meaning, I need more agents. I need better agents. My process for getting those better agents isn't very efficient, and so I want a more efficient process, right? That scales and has leverage and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have to necessarily get by, although there's a little bit of baggage sometimes, but yeah, it's more for me. As a matter of fact, one of my people said this to me once. Liz, if you're listening, what's up? Shout out. She's been a part of many coachings and everything. She said once, she goes, you know what I like so much about your coaching, Geoff, is that you actually have us do stuff. Like, it's not just fix your head mindset and all that. No, I'm actually giving you stuff to go into the market and execute, because that's what actually gets shit done.
Yeah, and I'll say one of the things about coaches that I struggle with, because I've coached a lot over the years, and I've highly recommend it to everybody, even if it's just one little thing that you picked up. If it moves the needle, it moves the needle. But there's a piece, and I get it because now I've coached a few people, and it's like, okay, there's a little bit of the mindset that has to happen first, because I need the shift to happen before I can teach you the techniques and all that.
Right.
But at this stage, like if I hired a coach, I don't need somebody for that. I need somebody to give me the damn technique. Like tell me exactly how to do it. That's why, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of coaches out there that have all this theory bullshit, but they don't actually tell you what to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think that's the difference. It depends on where you are in your career. I mean, you might need some of that. And look, we all need some fix your head stuff over time. We get negative, we get down, right? All that, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about systems and implement, what really produces results, it's the actions or systems that you implement, right? Or I like to give a shout out to Marcus Lemonis. Remember that show, The Prophet, back in the day?
Yeah.
So he always talked about people, process, and systems, or technology. I can't remember. People, process, technology, I think. Yeah, look at your business and do you have the right people? Do you have the right process, and do you have the right technology?
So Tony Robbins, you brought him up, man. It's not my fault.
Dude, I got to play that card. You know what I mean?
So I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, right? I've been to a few of his seminars. I'm a junkie for a good speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, he's probably the best speaker I've ever heard. I've never met somebody that can hold court 5,000 plus people at a time, and everybody's listening.
Well, I mean, this is a rhetorical question. You know the answer, but for the listener, how do you think Tony got so good at speaking? Do you think he was always that good?
Nope.
No, I can tell you for sure he wasn't. I mean, I was with him back in the bad hair days. You know what I mean? And he was still wearing the full suit and all that stuff. But you can find early videos of Tony. Here's what I know about Tony, and he actually says this many times, is it's just repetition. That's the mother of skill. And too many people want to leave the scene of a skill development before they actually create real momentum.
Love that.
They want to do something new. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. It's just Alex Ramosi, another guy we probably both follow, whatever, right? I think he's got some interesting viewpoints. What he says is do more, do better. Don't do new until you've done more and done better of the thing.
Yeah. We talked about it earlier, how don't know exactly what moved the needle in my early days, but I did all the hard stuff. And I think it's kind of the same thing. You just need to go do it and get over the fear and sharpen your axe, and you'll be just fine, right? Like, you're going to find what you fit into, what your thing is. But hey, let's move on a little bit, because there's a new world, right? There's all this new technology. There's social media. What are your recommendations? Let's start with social media. How does a mortgage loan originator navigate social media?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty big question. Once again, I'm very contextual. I think that depends on the person, who they are, what experience they have thus far, or whatnot. I mean, I do think it's a must. It's a standard. I will say this though, and this is kind of my contrarian positioning statement on this, and I will embrace this a little bit more going into the new year, is that I think in terms of if you're looking for now business, I still put the relationships, be it your referral partners and your past client database, as the number one lever to pull. Before, I should say, not social media as like the all-in, I'm going to win and crush on social media, I'm just going to become this big-time influencer. I haven't seen that play out well for most. For some few, who've done it consistently for 2-3 years, I've seen that play out. Is that the long-term play for you to diversify your business? 100%. But don't play this card of like, oh, screw realtors, screw like prospecting, all that stuff. No, man, you need to pull that lever first and layer on top of that the social media game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
I feel a little bold saying that, because there's so many people we see and consume in our world who are just like showing that they're crushing it and all that. And let me tell you, like I said earlier, I've interviewed 300 loan officers. And I always ask the question, used to, every single, what's your number one source of business? And it's very rare that I hear somebody say social media. Very rare. I'm talking like 1 out of 150.
So my viewpoint, like if I had to go out and originate right now, I would still go old school, grassroots, call up everybody I know, go find out where all the agents are, figure out how to meet them. But I also feel in today's world, there's a social media strategy, and it's not go out and find clients on it. It is create a social presence, because somebody will go look you up.
100%.
And if you're nobody, then it stops right there. Just like Google reviews. If you're a nobody, it stops right there. So I think both of those are very important, but I think I would create content. I would then go back to old school and make sure that when they do check me out, there's something to see.
I agree with you 100%.
So I'm not trying to get consumers, but now the next to me, the strategy would be, let me find those 5, 10, 15, 20 real estate agents in my market that I want to go after, and let me stalk them. I'm going to learn everything about them. And I had a coach tell me one time, listen, you can make as many posts as you want. Chances are very few people that are actually going to really see it, right? You're not an influencer. Great. Get it. So of that caliber, right? Like there's a caliber. You're not, that caliber takes an awful lot of work if you want to be an influencer. It's not posting every day. It's not, it takes way more than that. So I'll start with this. I would go out and I would stalk these agents. And this is what the coach told me. He said, they're not going to see you, but they're going to see them. And if they're going to see them, when they look at the comments, somebody should see you.
Yeah.
I was like, brilliant. He's right. Because not everybody's going to see my post, but they might see my comments.
Yeah.
So be thoughtful on your comments. And oh, by the way, if you just post 3 fire emoji signs, like that's BS. That's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So everybody that posts really appreciates a like, but they love a comment because everybody knows the comments are what drive the algorithms, right? So they always go and reply to the comments because they know it doubles up and that's what they're looking for in the algorithm. So
Yeah.
my advice to anybody would be go pick a group of realtors and stalk them.
Mm-hmm.
You think
Yeah,
that's
I
good?
think
Good strategy.
no, 100%. I've got a few people who that's what they do. That's been actually their bigger source of results from social media. And by the way, that's not to say that you can't get consumers from social media. You can. I've definitely heard the stories. I just want to, set people's expectations. To your point, it's going to take systems to execute consistently. Most people, and myself, I've suffered from this as well. I'm not great at consistently posting on social media. And I'll tell you why, because I don't have the systems in place, the proper systems. That's an easy excuse or whatever, but this is my second word for 2026 is delegate. It's gratitude and delegate. And so that's why I'm putting systems into place this year to delegate that so it gets done.
Yeah.
The other, just real quick to riff a little bit more on social media is this is why I'm very contextual about it, is because there's so many different ways to shape social media to your benefit. For example, I was talking earlier today with a law officer in Florida. She wants to become the go-to lender for this builder. And so what did we do? We unpacked a strategy for her to turn those developments into a content pillar, right? Where she's doing the walk and talk videos. Let me tell you what's so great about why people want to live here. Here's this new development. Oh my God. And then she's talking about new construction. And so she's turning that into content that consumers want to engage. That's a strategy, right? That's just not winging it and throwing crap up. That's a very specific, defined way to leverage this tool of social media.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love it. Um, One of the things too with social media that I've noticed is that things change rapidly.
Yeah.
So, there's this great book. I don't know if you know him, Alec Hansen. He was on this
Oh, sure.
podcast.
I know. We know. Me and Alex used to hit the same area, man. Mission Viejo
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. He's actually a good guy. I like him a lot. And one of the questions, which I'll ask you as well at the end, is, give me your favorite book or two.
Mhm.
And he actually said one that I had never read before is Who Moved the Cheese or Who Moved
Uh-huh.
My Cheese? I don't remember. Have you ever read that book?
Yeah.
It was great. And it reminds me, like I think about it all the time now because things are always changing. And if you're just waiting and doing the same thing all the time, chances are something's going to stop working sooner or later because things change. And when it comes to social media, just to stick on the same topic, you hit a vein, everything's going great, and then boom, it changes. And all of a sudden, you're not getting any more views, you're not getting any more anything, right? So you're always having to be alert and studying a student of everything all the time.
Yes. Quick comment on that, if I may, because
Yeah.
that reminds me of a presentation I did for a bunch of realtors, which was this concept of survival of the fittest, right? Most people think survival of the fittest is the strongest survive, and it's actually not accurate. The ones who survive are the ones that are most adaptable to change. And here's the key: learn new skills for the current environment.
Yeah.
That's the big headline for everybody listening. How adaptable, how rapidly can you learn new skills? And I always hold up the phone for those who aren't watching, but maybe listening. We had to learn this skill of pointing this at our face. And right, that's a skill. That's a new skill. That's called adapting. So AI is another skill that we need to learn and adapt to as well.
Yeah. So if you're ready, let's move on to that.
Okay.
One of my favorite topics. I'm an AI junkie now, so I'm proud of it. I'm not gonna go join any
What is this? AI Anonymous?
I'm anonymous. I'm not ready to go to one of those groups. I
I'm
love,
addicted to AI, and my name is.
yeah. My wife gets upset because she thinks it's a romance happening, that she's like, go ask your girlfriend. I mean, she says it to me all the time now.
Well, the
And
question
I'm
is,
like,
Dino, did you name your AI chat
yeah,
assistant?
I did, but I
What
named
what
I named
what
her
think
after
of
I
her
named her my
name?
wife's name,
Oh, you
Lindsay.
did?
Yeah,
See, I made the mistake. I named mine Carmen after Carmen Electra. So that's aging myself right here. That's the only thing I could think of in the moment, was just like, okay, Carmen, like this female voice is my wife's not happy with it either.
yeah. Well, I figured I can't go wrong if I name her after my own wife.
I'm going to change the name, and I'm going to go down and tell her right after this.
So let's talk through that a little bit. I mean, I can go on forever, but I am interviewing you. So let's start with, which platform do you like to use the most?
For AI platform,
Yeah.
oh man. See, I'm one of those though too, is that, because I have to learn this stuff and I'm using it for my own business, but also helping LOs understand how to leverage it.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody started with GPT, right? That was the big
Yeah.
attention grab.
And it
Um,
still is. I mean,
yeah,
it's not downgraded. It still is.
no, no, not at all. I just think it's what are you trying to do? So I've used them all. I use them all pretty consistently. Like today alone, I've used Claude, I used Claude GPT, and I used Notebook LM today, and Gemini today. Right.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is I and others will get very use case driven for what is the output you're trying to achieve. I don't
Uh-huh.
think there's going to be, oh, you're going to use one, unless you're being lazy, to be honest. Sorry.
Yeah. So here's my viewpoint on it. I also use several different ones, mostly because I got a little FOMO. I'm afraid,
No,
fear
you
of
have to
missing
stay
out.
informed of what's working.
Well, yeah, they're constantly changing, so I want to be up on that. A Notebook LM's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Most people still haven't tried that one, but I think
Mhm.
it's awesome. I keep trying to tell my kid, like, he just had a science test, and I was begging him to let me help him study, and I
Yeah.
wanted to do it on Notebook LM.
Yeah.
And he ended up not doing it. Took the science test and got an 89. He was happy. I'm like, dude, you could have gotten 100 if you let me go with this. Like, let me show you. There's a new way, and this is gonna change your world, man.
Right.
Like, trust
Right.
me. So I want to test it out on them. But um, somebody actually did this for me yesterday. They went and downloaded, or I don't know how actually, but they put together all of my Google reviews,
Hmm.
or uploaded it somehow to Chat or Gemini. Actually, it was still Notebook LM,
Hmm.
and then they had it create the podcast,
Ah,
and the two people started talking about Dino and Ethos Lending,
was
and
that
it
Katie?
went off for like 10 minutes. What's
Was
that?
that Katie?
Katie? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. She sent me that, man.
she did it. Okay.
Yeah. She goes,
Uh,
hey, have you thought of this idea or whatever? Katie and I are really close. Sounds like you know her pretty well too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Katie's
And
got it.
did
She's
she do
awesome.
it for your business,
Not yet, but yeah, Katie,
or did she send you
Katie's on
mine?
speed dial.
Did she send you mine?
I think yours is the one she sent me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was like, this is awesome, right? And her
Yeah.
idea was to use it for real estate agents.
Right.
And I thought, brilliant, man. Like, it's something different that
Yeah.
nobody else is doing, right? And you're leveraging AI, which is so easy to do.
Great
All
idea.
you need is and if you're not doing this, you want to invest some time into something, invest it into learning AI. It's
Yeah.
not even hard. Just ask it to teach you how to use it, and it'll teach you.
Yeah. There's so many use cases there. We'll just see more and more of those pop up. And that goes back to the learning new skills, right? Are you adaptable? Because there's probably some people listening that maybe are just like, nah, I got their head. I don't know. I could be wrong, but you
Yeah.
definitely need to learn them.
One of so I'm a ChatGPT guy. Shoot, man, I it bums me out because I feel like I should have picked Gemini. Mostly because all my other products are Google, and be kind of nice just to kind of keep it all in one. But at the end of
Mhm.
the day, I've spent countless hours training ChatGPT. Like, I've created my clone. Somebody said, "Yeah, but so AI is writing it." I'm like, not really. It's my voice now.
Yeah,
This
you've
is me.
trained it.
I've spent hours training it. This is
Right.
me.
Right.
So it's pretty cool when you can create your clone. And that's the first thing I always tell everybody is create your clone.
Mhm.
If you're going to, let's just use ChatGPT since that's what I use.
Mhm.
You do the paid version, of course. You get a project and you create, whatever your name is, clone. So mine says Dino clone or Dino's clone. And I went in and I asked it, I told it what I wanted to do, and I asked it to ask me questions.
Mhm.
And countless hours later, because I just kept feeding it more and more information, once it
Right.
got good, it was good enough. But then I was like, you know what? I wanted to know more. I uploaded my disc profile
Mm.
and I said, okay, now you know my strengths, but you also know my weaknesses. So I expect you to have my back when you see me not doing something that I should be
Ah,
doing,
yeah.
right? Fill in for me.
Yeah.
And then obviously play off my strengths as well.
Mhm.
And now she knows that words of and I did my my love languages. So
Oh.
now she's always doing words of affirmation for me.
Oh, well, she's building you up.
She's building me up. My wife heard it one time and she's like, "You've got to be kidding me." So you've named her me and you're making her do everything I don't do for you.
Wow. Wow. Have you seen that movie Her
No,
with Joaquin Phoenix?
no.
Oh, you should look it up. He falls in love with his AI.
Okay.
It came out
All
like
right.
10 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
pretty wild. All right. All
So
right.
so here's if we go to AI now, right? Like, do you have any suggestions for loan officers on how to use it? Like what's your strategy there for them?
Hmm. Um, Let me think about that for a second because I was asked that question at Sales Mastery as well, and I would, it dealing with the whole narrative of like AI is going to replace you and all that stuff. I don't necessarily believe that the way it's hyped up. I think it's a tool. Will it get rid of some jobs? Sure, but I think the way I would start with AI is take what you already do well and feed that into AI or things that you want to improve. It could be, like we said earlier, your buyer intake process. What is that like? Like, think of AI like this: it's a digital assistant, it's your coach. You can give it, you can build your advisory team. Like what I do for my business model sometimes is I'll say, or I'll provide source material from people that I want to have as an advisory board. So that could be um, James Clear, that could be Benjamin Hardy, right? The Science of Scaling and the Gap versus the Gain, Dan Sullivan. So whoever you follow and like as coaches or marketers or people you're learning from, you can use that to build your own advisory panel to create suggestions, frameworks, outputs for you that will help you be more effective in the case of marketing or in the case of, building rapport and converting on sales. So that's probably where I start to investigate is what areas or systems do I want to optimize and get better at and start there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that everybody should start doing immediately, if you're not already, I personally do as much as I possibly can on Zoom or some sort of a virtual conversation. It is a little bit easier to record things on that, and I think that's step number one. You have to start recording all your conversations. If you can record your conversations and upload them to your AI, it will put together it'll do it just off one, but imagine when you have 10, 20, 30 client consultations in there, it'll form it for you. It'll grade you. It'll tell you what you're doing well and what you're not. It'll tell you where you can improve, where you need to slow down. I tested it. I did it. I don't even do them anymore. And I told my guy, my LOA, who does all my stuff for me, I'm like, hey, let me take a few. I want to take them personally. And and then I asked it to grade me. And it gave me an A minus. I'm like, what? F you. I got an A
Wow.
minus?
Yeah.
Like this is my thing, right? But the reason why I got an A minus and it was right. It said there was a moment where you could tell she needed a little bit more hand holding and you moved on to the next one. You should have sat there and let her feel that emotion a little bit and let her know that you got her. that she doesn't have to worry about that. And I was like, gosh, that is so good. So good. Right.
Wow.
So if you do this enough times, you can absolutely have it work through your personal process of how you do it, and then ultimately make it better. And then do this, you guys. Everybody hates role playing with me, but I don't know the better way to actually practice, right? Because it's uncomfortable. I get it, but role play, and then role play. Now you don't have to role play with me, right? You can go role play with your AI. Work through all that stuff. It's
I like
brilliant.
that. That's a great use case as well. Um, one other quick point I'll say on that is am using the dictation app, so you speak instead of type, and those tools that allow you to do that, and that is a way better experience.
What do you use for that? Do you use Whisperflow?
I haven't. I mean, definitely can you, but ChatGPT, has its own built-in microphone. So what we're talking about is just enable your microphone and speak instead of
Yeah,
type, and
yeah,
the outputs are way better, more efficient. You think differently than you type, and you save a lot of time.
yep. So this is the best thing that ever happened. I have tendonitis, like really
Ah,
bad. I had
uh-huh.
surgery about 5 years ago,
Wow.
and it was fantastic. No problems ever since. Until this past summer, I ended up having a hernia surgery,
Ah,
and I was stuck in bed for, I don't know, 5 days.
yep.
And basically I was typing on a little typewriter, on a little typewriter. That's how old I am, on a laptop, which I never type on a laptop. I have one of the ergonomical keyboards, right?
Yeah.
And it jacked me up so bad that now it's like just as bad as it was before the surgery. So I
Ah,
can't type anymore.
yeah.
And best thing that ever happened is now I speak constantly. All I do is talk. I never type anymore for anything,
Yep.
even little emails. So here's a little pro tip: Whisper Flow. Granted, when you're on chat, their mic, their dictation is fantastic. You don't need to do anything. But if you're on anything else, whether it's email or text message or anything else, if you use Whisper Flow, it is the coolest app because it will auto clean up your thing. So, I'm talking to you, I say, and I stutter, I back off, and then I say the same thing again, just cleans it right up. You don't have to go back through and fix all that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's so many tools to be efficient these days. Once again, are you guys adapting and learning, or are you just like sitting on your thumbs,
Yeah. So another thing too that I'll say for AI, I was coaching, doing a little off coaching this morning to this guy, and we talked a little bit about social media. My recommendation was to add a little more humanism to it. It's social media, and everything on his grid on social media was the exact same. Him in front of a microphone talking. I mean, at least he had content, was great, but there was nothing there that made me want to like him. A picture of him and his family, I would immediately like him. It would immediately tell me he's a family man. It would immediately kind of just let me know he likes outdoor hiking. If he's doing that, he likes cars, he likes whatever, right? And if we connect easily with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had an issue because of privacy. He just didn't want to have his family on there and all that stuff. Okay, get it. So, it's tough because when I connected with people, it's because I did use my family all the time. I didn't have an issue with it. Um, and people said it all the time, like, man, great family. I love your family. Or, they would see my kids growing up, and we connected. People I hadn't seen in years, even past clients, stayed connected to me because of it. And they stayed connected to me, not me as a loan officer. That was the byproduct that happened. I just did their loans. I always did their loans. There wasn't even a question anymore, right? But it was that it's the old school belly to belly that we don't do anymore. So this is the new belly to belly. And the way I look at it is Zoom is a belly to belly. Social media can be belly to belly if you do it right. So I'm going to start there, little piece of advice, and then I'm going to go back to AI. The other thing I told this guy was I had a title rep. I still have this title rep after it's been like almost 30 years now. He's still my title rep. The dude is masterful. And shout out, since he did a shout out to Derek Graham. president of USA Title now. And I've never met somebody that knows more people. He just knows every single realtor, every single loan officer in town, period, right? But how did he do this? And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. He brought them something of value.
Yeah.
And it's like, and Tony Robbins said it, stop being an effing asker and be a giver. It's like, what are you doing for them? Right? Other than giving them money, you're not, that's not the way to go. So he would always find whatever the latest technology was, whatever the latest like marketing ploy was, whatever it was, he got it, and he would either learn it and teach it, or he would bring somebody in that knew it, and he would hold court, right, one to many, and he would teach them how to use this. So that's giving them something of value because it's going to help them grow their business. And ultimately, that's the most important thing is how are you going to, first of all, that's what they're there for. They're there to do business. So if you can help them grow their business, you're winning, right?
Yeah.
So with AI, this is an opportunity. Most people do not have a clue on how to use it. They're intimidated by it. If you can start putting some time in right now and learning how to use AI, I think you could become that guy. You could find a million realtors out there right now that could use a little help. The easiest thing in the world is create your clone, and then teach them how to create their clone. You can even get with them for a half hour to an hour and guide them through the process. It's not hard.
Yeah. I mean, really what you're saying, you just said it there, which is like help them solve problems, right? Be the educator, be the conduit, be the deliverer of value. And remember that the value is not determined by how much knowledge you have or the expert that you are, right? The value is determined by the recipient and the information or the content, whatever it is that you're providing. So what am I saying? I'm saying sometimes when people like teach classes or whatnot, or they want to quote lead with value, LOs will sometimes say, yeah, but why would a realtor listen to me? Why would a realtor come to a class I'm teaching about Google Business Profile, right? Well, they're not showing up because it's you if there's no pre-existing relationship. They're showing up because of the payoff and the promise of what they're going to get. You're simply a conduit for that value. And therefore, you now increase trust, reduce resistance, and you facilitate those conversations.
Yeah, for sure. All right, dude, I'm gonna bring us to a wrap.
Let's land the plane.
But I need two more questions for you. We're getting on our descent here. First question, favorite book or two?
You know, I was kind of thinking about that when you said that earlier. So hold on, let me reach here. I'm not even going to say my book, because that'd be like obvious, really stupid. So for me, once again, based on what's happening in my life, I'm brought back into this book right here, which is, this is only the New Testament, but let's just say the Bible.
Yep.
So I'm back heavy in that relationship there. And then of all the books that just popped out to me, there are so many, but this is one of my favorites, and that is The War. Oh, sorry, wait a minute. There's two of these. There's Do the Work and The War of Art. So they're both by Stephen Pressfield.
Wait, say it again.
Yeah, hold on.
Do the work.
You can edit this gap out, right? Okay. So my favorite book to gift is called Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield.
Okay.
What it deals with is how to overcome resistance. Because resistance is an SOB, right? Resistance is the self-talk in your head. Resistance is, I'll put it off and do it later. Resistance is, you know, that voice of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The resistance is, oh, it's not going to, it's all that external or internal stuff that keeps you from actually doing the work. So this book, look at how short it is.
Yeah.
It's super easy to read. So this is probably
far cry from the first book you held up.
yeah, right. Exactly.
So do me a favor, pull the first book up and pull up James 1:1.
Oh, James 1:1. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. James 1:1. All right. Let me go. Give me a second here, my man.
And it's going to completely resonate with your second book.
Okay. Oh, cool. I like that. Where the heck is, hold on, James right here. 1-1. Okay. And my lighting isn't great. So James 1. Wait, there's James and then there's James 1, right?
Yeah. So here, I'll pull it
You
up.
might be better suited at this than me. You can tell how rusty I might be.
Yeah. Let me find it real quick.
Because I see 1, but that's the letter from James.
Okay. Here it is. I got it.
All right.
So I'm sorry. So it's James 2.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I see
consider
right
it
here.
pure
Mhm.
Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double minded and unstable in all that they do. So I bring it up because you said resistance, it's pressure, right? All of it. I lead a men's group every Thursday morning, and we just started a new
Cool.
study actually, and it was faith under pressure, and it reminds me like I want to read that book that you just held up, the second one,
Uh-huh.
because it really it in putting together the study and then going over the first week with all the guys. Now I'm doing it with my boys,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately, man, it's like, how is a diamond formed?
Mm.
Under pressure.
Yep.
And when your back is up against the wall, that's pressure.
Yep.
Do you lean into it or do you cower to it? And I think what you're saying is do the work, like from that book, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, if you do the work, if you lean into it, if you embrace the suck, you will come out under pressure as the diamond. But the question is can you make it through that pressure?
Right.
And if you believe in God, you can go and ask him and you will make it. But believe, because like it said, if you don't believe, then you're like that in the wind, in the ocean, right? Like you're just being tossed around everywhere. So have faith, embrace the suck, and get after it.
Yeah.
Like that's it right there. Get after it.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Get after it. Get around the right people. Get busy living or get busy dying.
That's right. That's right. So, okay. So last question. It's my favorite one, by the way. If I took you, put you back into origination
Mm.
and put you somewhere where you don't know anybody, let's just call it Alabama, since we brought it up earlier. And you have all the knowledge you have, but you don't have all the money, right? Like I took away your money. I give you a little allowance every month just to pay your bills.
Yeah.
Not enough to go out and like get crazy, getting billboards or whatever it is you're going to do, right? Like social media ads. You don't have that kind of money. You have to make it first. What do you do? How do you do it? And keep in mind, here's the caveat. You don't get to see or talk to your family until you make $1 million. Like if that's not enough motivation to get after it,
Yeah.
if you love your family, that is, right? Like
Right.
that's not so you don't fool around if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Yeah.
You get after it hard, fast. So how does that look? What does that look like for you?
Okay, so I don't know a soul. You're dropping me into a town where I don't know anybody, and I got to go start from scratch.
Yep.
You know, not to sound obvious, but I would pretty much run the plays we talked about today. I would need to become 5 Mile famous with the right people. So there's the immediate or short-term business. Those are going to be from the referral partner. So I would definitely be building an event platform system that puts me in front of maximum people in minimum time. Obviously, Realtors is part of that. There's other people to throw into the mix there as well. But I need to become well known. in record time. The way to do that is through one-to-many, right? Leveraging that one-to-many platform and virtually and in person. So I'd be playing that card like we talked about. I would also be using those events, by the way, to level up my social media presence, because I would be documenting that, capturing content, building this whole awareness campaign of like, who the heck is this guy Geoff who showed up in Alabama, who's hosting these events with agents and referral partners and at builders and so forth and so on. And we're seeing him show up at different events, and he's like in our face with video. And all of a sudden this groundswell happens and people become attracted to, want to learn more, follow, engage. And that's where the DMs go down to start the conversations. And I would be running that playbook for definitely a year, right, before I start to question it. And then through those relationships, I look for the strategic leverage. Like, I'm a huge fan of Todd Duncan. Shout out Todd. One of the things he talks about is that the power of relationships, right? 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals multiples. And so one relationship can literally shift the entire course of your business or your life. So that's the first quarter I'd be running that without even blinking an eye.
It's pretty much all you have to do. You'll get there.
Right?
Yeah. And look, guys, it's not easy, but it's also not hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not.
Well,
So
the
anyways,
saying, you've heard of Dino. Everything's hard. Choose your hard.
yeah. Embrace it, right? Like, get after it. So anyways, dude, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I enjoyed the conversation with you.
Thank you, man.
Before I let you go though, I just want you to give a little shout out to your company and how somebody can get a hold of you, listen to your podcast, seek coaching, whatever other things you have on your website that might be a benefit to them.
Yeah. So tune into the podcast. If you like this conversation at all, it's Mortgage Marketing Radio. You can find it where all the podcasts are, including YouTube. And then if you want to learn more about scaling your reach to agents, you can you're going to put this link in the show notes if I give you a link.
Yep.
It's not live yet during this recording, but it will be. It's getmoreagents.com. So getmoreagents.com. I was actually testing it while we're talking here, and I have a 404 issue, so I got to fix that. But that's where people can learn more. Getmoreagents.com.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on.
Appreciate it, man. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.